Diving headfirst into Estacado athletics. You're listening to the Matador Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Good Monday evening and welcome into the High School Fan Zone on this Monday night. It seems like March has really gone by fast. I was just talking to Mark Llanas about how it's gotten a little less busy. The soccer season wrapped up last week abruptly. 4 teams lost on Tuesday to kind of end that season, and that, for me, that was a chance to kind of exhale a little bit. Got to do a little bit more baseball last week, focusing a little bit more on softball, but spring season is full-blown go right now. We're into district track and everything. I am Randy Rosetta. This is the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. We are going to jump into the Matador Fan Zone really quick here. Think if there's any news I need to get out of the way, and really there's not, because, like I said, the end of one season and we're really busy. Baseball's about to hit baseball and softball both are about to hit the curve where those district games start to get a little bit more meat on the bone. The district track meets are all this Wednesday and Thursday because of Easter coming up. So, Mark can help me. You guys are out of school on Friday?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought so. That means my wife and daughter will be home, so I should know that. Mark Llanas, I'm going to ask you again, but I'm just going to say tell you what I tell Chad Reynolds. I'm just going to call you long-time Estacado baseball coach. I think you and Chad are about the longest tenured coaches right now.
I would believe so, yes, sir.
And that may not just be baseball. That may be
everything.
Since Jill retired, Jill kind of opened the door. Mm-hmm. Once because Jill had that spot for a long time. Last year was her 39th year.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not even close to that.
39th year, and she gets to ride off into the sunset with the state championship. That's a pretty good script to write.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But how long have you been head
24
coach
years.
24 at Estacado. How long as head coach?
15.
And we're going the opposite direction with you. You've been coaching long enough now that one of your coaches that you coached with to begin with is now coaching again, because we talked about it before the tournament that Hector Lamone is back out there on the diamond at Odessa High.
He is, yeah. So, it just works funny ways. I found he called me one day and is like, hey, I need some help with this. I'm like, why do you need help with that? He goes, well, I'm the head coach at Odessa. I was like, all right, let me help you with it.
Now, did you have any former players that you've coached against yet?
No. I've had a lot of former players become coaches and coached with us.
Yep.
None against, and then it's funny because it's golly. I think the last couple years it's I coached your dad. I coached your dad.
Yep.
I coached your dad. I coached your dad and taught your mom, and it's starting to. They're all starting to come back into the school system, so it really makes you feel old.
Now, you coached against Brad Winchy as a player, I assume.
Yes.
You coached against Devin Rocha as a player when he was at Roosevelt.
Yep.
So there's a couple.
Uh-huh.
Those two get me, because when I first started the Hub City Preps up, I started looking at coaches. I was like, Brad Winchy. I think I remember that guy being a player back then. Now, technically, I almost could have covered you. You graduated in what year from Estacado?
1997.
Yes, I barely missed you then, because I got here Memorial Day weekend of 1997.
Okay.
I had been hired. I was going to come and cover the Texas Tech baseball regional.
Okay.
And some paperwork got messed up, so I just went and watched it and said, "You can remember that was Larry Hayes' team that was ranked number one,
and they lost to Stanford,
and they won
the first game, lost to
two teams that you didn't accept. It was like Southwest Missouri and Southwest Texas, and they were done. And Texas Tech baseball's figured it out through the years. They're okay. But Estacado baseball's figured it out for a long time, and Mark's a big part of that. You guys are coming off of maybe your best pitch game of the season against Big Spring. Jose Alcorta shut him out, only gave up 2 hits. And I asked you right before we started, I don't remember seeing him pitch last year, but then you kind of explained it. He was one of the guys that would kind of team up with people and pitch games.
Yeah, him and Zach Salazar, 2 lefties this year, they were last year they were used as one pitcher. So Jose would start, and then last year's team was 1-1, 0-0, 2-2, 3-3.
Yep.
So Jose got a lot of no decisions, even though he pitched some really good baseball last year. And then Zach Salazar would come in and hold them down, and we'd scratch a run here and there, and then he would kind of get the credit for the win. But those two did a really good job, and Zach pitched really good against Snyder. He didn't get the win, but man, he threw extremely well, like 6 innings, 12 strikeouts, 4 walks. Just didn't make a play here or there, or else he gets the win on that one. And 2 really good games pitched back to back. So it's there. We just got to kind of get those pieces around them figured out.
And that win was big for you guys for this reason, because when you look at the standings, Liberty's hasn't lost, Big Spring hasn't won. Everybody else is just all grouped up. Now, we got a lot of season left to go, but you need to make sure that ones you are supposed to or you need to win, you need to make sure that you take care of business.
Yeah, you tell the kids one thing, and we talk to the coaches another thing. We tell the kids we should win every game. And
right.
The coaches, we have circled, hey, this is what we need to make sure that we take care of. So, yeah, it's getting close, like you said. We're not there yet. We haven't finished that first round of district, but we're not playing 15 district games this year. We're only playing 12, so we lose 3. So wiggle room is not very much. Right. Our wiggle room is gone with a couple losses that we probably shouldn't have had, but our back's against the wall, as we tell the kids, and we got to work from there.
And you got a big week coming up this week, and a different kind of week, because it's not Tuesday and then Friday. It's Tuesday, Thursday because of the holiday, and you don't have to leave town.
No, we don't. It's different, but it's not. I think our kids really love it when you just show up to the ballpark.
Right.
Sleep in a little bit, show up, start the process for the game, and then go play. It's like almost feeling like a big leaguer for a day or two. So, especially on Thursday, because you get to go to a nice facility, nice place to play against a really good team, and it just has a different feel to it when there's no school, and it's going to be a big crowd and stuff like that.
Now, is tomorrow night against Memorial? Before I forget, Estacado against Memorial tomorrow at 7. Estacado against Liberty Thursday at 7. Are both of those, or either one at home? Or
nope, they're both away.
So you're going to 2 nice.
Oh, we're going to 2 very shiny new facilities. Yeah, so it's exciting. The kids will like that, and it's all the more reason to play better.
And your guys are just like every other sport. I remember Tony Wagner talking about how it's good to have those teams that have come in, those 4A teams, to give Estacado somebody as kind of a foil in the different sports, because you guys have been in 4A by yourselves for a while.
We have. It is nice. Sometimes we cause our own problems, but just to having that visual of somebody else, somebody different. Plainview next year. That would be another one.
An old rival.
Yeah, old. I remember playing them when I started. So it's nice.
Those 2 games are at 7. I believe one's on the radio airwaves here. So we're coming up on a break. We'll talk more Matador baseball when we come back on the High School Fan Zone on this Monday night on the High School Fan Zone.
Your inside look into Estacado sports. This is the Matador Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back in. We are talking Estacado Matador baseball. Currently, district records to me are more important. On Hub City Preps, you'll find the standings, and I always list them first because we're to the point in the season where that's where you determine who's going to get to the playoffs. 4 teams get to the playoffs for those who aren't overly familiar with it. And it's odd and different now because 4 teams get there and then 2 go big school, 2 go small school. And you guys will always be small school, or no, because in basketball you didn't.
Well, it all depends on how with Memorial.
Yep.
Kind of throws the kink in it.
Memorial and Liberty are like either ends.
Yeah, they're on the either ends, and then San Angelo is the wild card. Last year we beat them, and so that was for big school.
Okay.
So we got big school, and it makes it's a huge importance because they ended up getting they went big school, and I think they got who was it?
But what you guys took care of business. You wound up playing Seminole, so it wasn't like it was an easy path.
No, they're all hard, but it was just some paths are easier than others, and being a 1 seed is obviously an easier path. So, outside of making the playoffs, you still have to get that into the equation in terms of it's Memorial, Lakeview, and us. We got the 1 game up on Lakeview, so we technically. I guess we could come down the road and play again, but that's why getting that Memorial win is so huge because that puts us in the driver's seat for the big school if we make the playoffs.
There's a lot of reasons this week is big for you guys because we were talking about it before the break. This is Lubbock. You're going against Lubbock teams both games. These kids know each other.
Yes.
Baseball maybe more than any other sport. The guys know each other. And what's been fun talking to the Memorial coaches all year in different sports is now some of them. I ran Robertson knows you guys because he's been around, but some of those coaches didn't understand that those kids knew each other so well, so they'd start looking at video and they'd start coaches talking by numbers. This number 7's doing this, and their players would say, "Oh, that's such and such."
Yeah.
So they know it. You guys are going to go out there against Memorial. They're going to know. Now they're younger guys. You guys aren't exactly. You don't have a lot of gray beards, so it's not like.
No, we don't. We do have some seniors. We do have a lot of juniors. So it's a mixture depending on who's on the rubber. Like most teams, there's a lot of moving pieces with pitching. But yeah, we have experience. It's just we don't have as much experience as we would like compared to last year. So we do bring kids back, but it's not the same.
We were talking about this before. It's a little bit different for you too because you probably coach a lot of these kids from Memorial. They have dads that played somewhere in Lubbock at some point that you may have coached against, and these are also potentially neighbors of yours because you live out in that part of the.
I do. What's funny is there's 2 players on Memorial that I coached their dads at Estacado.
Oh,
so there's another.
Which ones?
Reyna. I can't think of his.
Michael Reyna is a catcher.
Michael Reyna Sr.
Okay.
was with Hector. He was our catcher and leadoff, and he was a center fielder, caught a little bit. And I think there was another. I think a Garcia.
There's 2 different Garcias.
So it's just a funny thing. And then we had another kid that was on the JV that ended up moving out there, so he's out there now. So it's just one of those deals where it's like you said, it's just a hodgepodge of kids that play with each other 3/4 of the year.
Right.
And then for that 1 quarter, they go to the school and they play against each other.
And I know you're not supposed to like each other when you're playing against each other, but again, baseball's a little bit different. It's a gentleman's game. Not that you can't be gentlemen and everything else, but those guys are going to, both sides are going to step on that field and want to beat them. But then afterwards, it was cool the other night, Lubbock High Monterey game, 2 really tight games. Victor got a nice win on Saturday.
Yeah.
But on Friday night, they lost by a run. You'd think that their kids would be just devastated. They're taking pictures with the Monterey guys that they played with in the summer. But first of all, Lubbock baseball is different than any place I've ever been because there's so much crossover.
Yeah.
There's so many teams and coaches that know each other.
Well, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you don't got a choice but to play with each other when you go travel to these bigger places. So it is. A lot of our kids play with their guys. A lot of our kids played with kids from Snyder. So it's just one of those deals. The Snyder kids come to Lubbock. They get jumbled up, and then level end kids play too. So it's it's just kind of like a big baseball community. Come summertime and fall.
We touched on this just a little bit. We're getting close to the end here, so I want to come back to you guys. You guys have gotten a really good pitching lately. Offense is still trying to figure it out. When last time I saw you was, I think that was one of those games where you needed the offense to do a little bit more. But between Salazar and Alcorta, you guys can pitch with just about anybody in weeks like this where you're playing 2 games a week.
We can, and we're very blessed that we have – Christian Martinez, our shortstop, probably our leader, best player. He's probably our best pitcher.
There you go.
So he's 3-1 on the year, and he didn't have a bad game. We just didn't help him out against level end. He was cruising, had a hiccup, couldn't get out of it. We ended up losing that game. But we also have 3 kids that come out of the bullpen that can help us at any time. So yes, the pitching and the defense are things that we're always going to do first, and then the hitting, we'll find a way, and which we have enough, but we do have to be sure to score.
It's going to sound weird, but you've got a team that's built for the playoffs.
We do. But that's the goal. You got to do both of those if you want to travel.
Yep.
And we just got to get that third piece to catch up, and once it does, I think we'll be okay.
Estacado plays at Memorial, 7 p.m. Tuesday. It's actually on Sunny 97.7. Clint Scott, I believe, will have the call, and they play at Liberty at 7 p.m. Thursday. We'll be back after this break to talk Monterey softball with Brian Cronk. We'll talk to Brandon Robertson about Estacado Memorial later. Come back in, and we'll be back in the high school fan zone in just a minute.